Where'll you be going?
Texas?
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Go on, make it happen.
And now here's Steve and Michelle.
Welcome from the heart of Dripping Springs. We are Mallet and Michelle, hosted by me, Michelle Lewis, and Steve Mallet.
Hey, Michelle, how are you?
Hola, Steve.
Well, what a great show we got today. We got Trey Powers coming in. He's a local here.
He's a little local celebrity. Everybody knows Trey around here.
Everybody knows Trey. Yeah, we got to thank our sponsors. Can't do the show without all these wonderful sponsors. Elliott Studio, Montana.
Capital Farm Credit.
Mark Rutledge. Nomic Power Solutions.
And Mallet Integrity Team.
So, I've got a couple good stories today.
I'll be the judge of that.
Yes, you will. Have you ever drank any of the energy drinks that are on the market, like Red Bull?
Steve, look at me. How long have you known me?
I've never seen you drink one. That doesn't mean you don't.
If I drink a drop of coffee, I am repainting stuff.
This is true.
I know people that drink. Now, I did one time have a Red Bull and vodka in Vegas.
Did you? Uh-huh. I bet it knocked you on your butt, didn't it?
Oh, well, I was up all night. But yeah, no, I don't drink that stuff. I don't like the way it makes me feel. I don't even like the way coffee makes me feel. So.
I've done it a couple times, and it's not good for you. I could just tell. It rots. It's bad in your gut.
It rots your brain.
It rots your brain. But I mean, So the story here is that kids, middle school and high school kids all across the country, are drinking these energy drinks that have anywhere from 100 to 300 milligrams of caffeine.
That's a parent issue. I think that's a parent issue. Why are you letting your kids drink that
I'll agree
stuff?
with that. But most of them are not getting their parents' permission.
Well, then they're not afraid of their parents like my kids were.
That's true. I will beat you to within an inch of your life. So these energy drinks, they're estimated anywhere from 25 to 70% of the middle school and high school kids in this country are drinking at least one of these drinks a day.
They're so incredibly bad for you. Tate had a wrestling friend here in Dripping Springs, and he was drinking all of those energy drinks, and he actually had a heart episode and passed away.
That's one part of my story, is that some of these kids, so the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends no more than 100 milligrams of caffeine a day for teenagers, kids under 18. And some of these kids are getting upwards of 1,000 milligrams of caffeine. And the thing that they don't know about these drinks is a lot of them, caffeine is not the only stimulant in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's guarana, taurine, there's some other chemicals that are in there that are also stimulants that create a different kind of stimulant in your body. Yeah, 12-ounce can of Dr. Pepper contains 41 milligrams of caffeine.
I'm good. I have a diet. Drink a diet Dr. Pepper.
Even the least caffeinated of these energy drinks has 100 milligrams of caffeine in them. And these are not full-grown adults. Some of these are middle school kids. And the teachers and the staff are saying it's really hard. All kids are carrying water bottles now. You can't tell what's in them. A lot of them are filled with energy drinks. Yeah.
This is vodka.
Michelle's got her energy drink.
I'm just drinking water.
But schools are trying to clamp down on it, but it's really hard to do. And there have been episodes where teens have reported focus disruption, heart racing, nervousness, and occasionally there are seizures for kids that actually, and you just pointed to it, you have a heart episode. That's
all
kind of like
those
a seizure.
I experience, except the seizure aspect of it, but I probably
Yours is different when you get caffeine. I've never seen a person do what you do when you're on caffeine.
What is that?
You're like, what was that cartoon where the guy was like...
Speedy Gonzalez?
It was like Speedy Gonzalez. Yeah, that's exactly right. Speedy Gonzalez. You're like, all over the place.
I have so many good ideas.
Yeah, you'll sit down with a pad and you'll write stuff down and then you'll come back to it and it's like... We never do any of the great ideas you come up with, but man, there are a million of them just flowing out of your head.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think caffeine affects certain people more than others?
I wish I knew.
Probably because I already have ADD And so
Could be. I mean, I have my fair share of caffeine every day. I'm as addicted to it as any other adult, but I would not drink these energy drinks. I
No.
think they're so bad for you.
and they have a lot of sugar in them too.
yeah, well, there's all kinds of things that are bad for you in them. So if your kid's drinking those, part of this story was that some of the parents that know their kids are drinking this don't realize how bad they are. They're thinking of them kind of like sodas, and they're nothing like a soda. Well, you just pulled
Yeah.
up there. A Dr. Pepper has 41 milligrams. You can drink
What is
3 Dr. Peppers to get the same amount as the least caffeinated of these energy drinks.
I think it's a Celsius.
Celsius
drink
is one of the
them.
drinks that is pretty popular
It
right
has
now. 200 milligrams of caffeine.
270 essential. So yeah.
So there's one that's heat. But I bet if you read the other ingredients in there, there are some other stimulants that are contained in those.
Michelle does not need a stimulant. No.
Yeah, but
Michelle needs
if
a
your kids
tranquilizer.
if your kids drinking those, you need to have a serious talk with them because they're not good for them. I could see schools actually making the drinking of these drinks in school the same, punishing those kids the same as if they got caught vaping, because your kids are not doing well in school if they're on these drugs.
I agree. And if you are allowing or knowingly allowing your children to drink these drinks, then you need to have a little talk with yourself. And you need to decide, I mean, you know.
A coming to Jesus
coming to
meeting with
Jesus.
Michelle? Yeah, that sounds scary
you need to
as
have
hell.
a little, you know what? If you were my kid when you were growing up, if I was your mom, I think I would have punished you a lot. I think you would have been in
Me?
timeout. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I definitely. I've been a rebel my whole life. Just the same as you. You sent me a meme the other day
it
that's
says,
like
"Don't do
somebody,
this, that."
somebody said, "Don't touch that," and you were like, toe reaching out there. I'm going to touch that. That's the way I was too. Somebody told me not to do it, and my first thought was, why?
Yeah,
I
why?
think I'll try that out.
I will get around it. Well, I have a little story about the pros and cons of living in Austin and the Hill Country. I've been seeing a lot of people that have moved into the area are now saying that they are moving out because of the heat, which...
Well, that hasn't changed. There's some things that have changed about Austin, but the heat hasn't
No,
changed.
and you know what's funny is that I was talking to somebody the other day about the heat in Austin that had moved here from California, and I said, if you really get down to it, it's really only hot like a good month and a half, 2 months out of the year. Like August and September usually are the worst months. I mean, yeah, you'll have certain summers where you'll have 100 days of 100, whatever. You'll have like these anomalies. But for the most part, the weather's pretty nice.
This has been one of the best summers I can imagine. I could remember.
I actually like the heat a little bit. I don't like the heat, but I like the heat. I like it better than the cold.
You know what's funny is I noticed that when it gets to be above 100 degrees, the humidity goes down, which actually makes it more tolerable than when it's 90 degrees
and the
with
humidity.
a 90% humidity.
And-
Because the higher heat burns off some of the humidity. Anyway, pros and cons of living in Austin, which I'm sure have changed over the years.
Some of the pros have been, I was hearing, were the nice people, the friendly people. So this is just like a little snapshot of people all over TikTok. And I just kind of watched like various, maybe 30 to 40 videos and listen to what
about
they
30
were saying.
seconds?
About 30 seconds. Yeah. I did it while he was updating my computer. People were saying the weather's nice, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the most part. The nature, the city vibe, the water parks, or not parks, the water availability, the lakes.
Lakes and streams, and
the food trucks. So people
Just
love the
food in general in
Food.
Austin.
You know that we are now, Austin is now Michelin viable or Michelin star city.
City? I didn't know that was even a thing.
Michelin has been in Austin, I think this last year. So I think they're going to start coming out with their ratings. So, which is pretty cool. So, the music, the festivals, the comedy, we've got so much to do, the nightlife, everything.
A bunch of comedians have moved here since COVID.
Well, yeah, I think since Joe Rogan came here, it kind of opened the door.
He's probably brought a dozen really good comedians with him since he left LA.
I finally got tickets to Comedy Mothership, so I'm going to go to that.
Don't yell. Kim Burke got kicked out. Even if you yell something nice, they kick you out.
Not doing it. The work opportunities that were here. So not only do you have the tech, you have a lot of government, a lot of military jobs that are here. no state income taxes, people were saying.
Yep.
It's very culturally diverse,
Yep.
which is nice. And the school choices. There's a lot, not only the many different private schools and public schools that are available here, and that's what makes Dripping Springs so attractive, but the universities that are kind of all around, from Texas State to UT to Mary Hardin Baylor. There's like this whole little area of the hill country. So here's the cons. Expensive, of course, right? Rent, food, blah, 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 blah. Again, the weather. That was one of the things, the con. So
Depends on your point of view, doesn't it?
Now, somebody said this, and I thought this was kind of a weird con. They said it's a small airport. I love the Austin airport. As a matter of fact,
It's a great airport.
I'm going to San Diego this Thursday. There is nothing I love better than flying home and getting into our Austin airport.
And knowing you'll be in your car in 20 minutes.
True. But I love it. Now, when I was in Portland a couple of weeks ago and you experienced the same thing, that was a really nice airport.
It's
but
a beautiful
it was
airport.
too flippin' big.
It's weird because it's actually not that big an airport, but it seems like from one end to the other is like 3 miles. I don't know why they...
No, I really like the Austin airport. I like the way they've done it. I feel like it's homey. It's comfy. So that was...
It definitely is. Has a nice vibe. As soon as you get off the plane there, you feel like, oh, I'm back home in Austin. Yep.
Well, this con is my con. It has crappy Mexican food. I have found 2 places in all of Austin that the Mexican food is good.
Is Zuzu's one of them?
Well, Zuzu's is not like Tex-Mex to me. Like Austin has Austinized all of their Mexican food. Habaneros, which is my favorite Mexican food restaurant.
Never been there.
I need to take you there, Steve, because once you have the gloriness of habaneros and the heaven's gates open up, like you will never go to another Mexican food place.
I'm hungry. I need to go.
I'm hungry, but Pigpen has really,
they do.
They've gotten really good. The public transportation, they've said, is really cruddy here.
I agree with that.
So
you got Ubers and buses, and that's really
that's it. And so then along with that is the traffic. So I think that if they fix the public transportation.
But if you go live in like Chicago, LA, Dallas is awful. Yeah. So yes, the traffic is bad, but relative to other cities, our traffic's not that bad.
I think why
and you can
our
work
traffic
around it
is, quote, bad is because we're so kind of condensed. Our landmass is a lot smaller. And so it makes it seem like it's smaller. But you know what? The nice thing about Austin is if Mopac is jammed up, get off, you can go on Lamar and just, that's what I do.
There are other ways to go. I know
I'm
that.
always
I've got lots of workarounds. So you just got to be creative sometimes.
I work around. The allergies. People are saying, and so it doesn't hit you like the first year, even the second year. It's around the
Sometimes
third year.
Sometimes it's the 10th year,
Yeah, the 10th year, but the allergies, the high property taxes, again, going back to being expensive. And again, someone said this was a con, but then I thought this was kind of a plus to me. It's a big city, but with a small town vibe. Meaning, and this was obviously somebody in the single life, meaning like if you broke up with somebody, you're going to run into them at the same places over and over again. But that you know everybody. Yeah. I didn't really think of that as a con. But
that's not a con. I think that's a great thing.
I think somebody else had said, there was 2 people, my criteria, Michelle's criteria was if 2 separate people said this. But yeah, big city, small town vibe. They didn't like that. I don't know.
That's definitely in the plus column to me.
Yeah, I think that was in the plus column too.
If you live in a big city, but it feels like a little small town community, that's a plus.
Well, that's why we live here in Dripping Springs, right? We want to live here. Yeah. We want to take advantage of all that Austin has to offer, but we don't want to live in Austin.
Yeah, the things I would add to in the cons, the crime's getting worse.
Yes.
The whole defund the police and then the city council using a lot of the budget to go to other programs besides safety in the city.
Yeah.
We're having to do things like when we go downtown now, we don't put stuff in the car, backpacks. We don't leave our backpacks in the back seat of the car because people,
You're
down at Barton
doing the
Springs,
San Francisco way.
San Francisco, same thing at Portland. Like the
Uh-huh.
guy at the airport said, "Hey, do you want to rent a 4Runner?" I said, "Does it have a little deck in the back so I can put my bags and have them out of sight?" He said, "No." I said,
Then
"No,
no.
I want a car. I want a truck."
In San Francisco, what they were doing in certain areas, like you come out of the airport and your bags are in the back. There were, for a while there were some gangs that they were smashing and running. They were smashing the back of the back window of the car and grabbing the suitcases and taking off.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And even if you have a trunk, it's not 100% because if you have a car with a trunk, they break the front window, they pop the little button that pops the trunk lid up, and off they go with your stuff.
Take my underwear, take it as I'm coming back in so I don't have to do laundry and I'll just go buy new clothes.
So the crime is bad. Obviously, every city has this. The homeless thing is getting worse and worse. But I think those pros and cons are true. The fact that it's still, even though we're almost 2 million people now, it still feels like a town is pretty cool.
The homelessness, are you seeing more of it or are you seeing more? Because I'm not seeing it like on the highway that I used to.
So I'm seeing less camps, but they're popping up in weirder places. Like there was over kind of behind the Goodwill in Oak Hill, kind of where Jim's is.
Oh, you think all the construction maybe that has...
Maybe, but there's what's the Don something barbecue there on the corner? There was a little tent set up there the other day just in the little green on the side of the road. Which
that was Don. Times are hard.
Yeah, times are hard. Go buy some brisket from Don. But so we're seeing less of it, but it pops up in weirder places. But the crime's the only thing that bothers me because it used to feel like such a safe city to me and doesn't feel like that anymore.
I'm also wondering because all of that convention center is all under construction down there. I know that those businesses down there are really, really hurting. The businesses and the hotels are hurting. So if you ever want to just have like a night downtown, they're offering some killer deals. But we went down there and we felt like it was a little bit safer right around there. It's kind of weird because all the construction, there was so much patrolling.
Because we run downtown a lot, it does seem to me like the homeless thing is getting more sort of centralized in certain pockets. It's like it used to be spread out all over downtown, and now I think they tend to congregate in certain areas. But I mean, I don't know the amount of money the city's spending on homelessness. Every one of those people could have a house right now, but I don't know how they're going to fix that.
Yeah.
Hey, I know you're sort of an expert on weddings. Have you ever thought about how much per person it costs you to put on some of those weddings you did for your kids?
Well, when you're looking at a catering aspect of it, they do a per person. So you had to kind of give them
overall,
a head count.
If you said, okay, I'm having just easy numbers. I'm having 200 guests and this wedding is $20,000.
Oh, like the whole wedding.
Yeah.
Right?
That's $100 a person.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you when I have a party at my house, like if I have like a full blown party, I'll spend maybe $1,500.
That is absolutely insane, Michelle. That's insane.
But do you not have good food?
Oh, I love every party I have ever been at your house has been amazing. But the fact that you spent $1,500 blows my mind.
But that's like a big, like if I'm doing a bridal shower or a baby shower or a graduation or something like that. Not just like a get together. There's a party and there's a get together. But yeah, I would say between $150, I would say $150 to $200 a person.
Okay, so Hassan Ahmed, who's 23 of Houston, Texas, is asking guests that are going to attend his wedding to pay him $450 for the chance to attend the wedding.
Now, okay, I have been seeing this trend on TikTok too of people requesting money to go to weddings. I think you are totally missing the point of having a wedding.
Yeah.
And you probably should go down to the DMZ.
So that the trend of asking people to pay for a wedding came out in, I don't remember what year it was, but this couple in New York charged $333 per guest to attend their wedding. But what they did was they had their ceremony at St. Patrick's Cathedral. Then everybody loaded onto these double-decker buses and got a tour of New York City. And then they finished with a private reception at One World Trade Center. And so it was more, instead of it being like, hey, I want you to help me pay for the wedding, it was like, we're going to have this great event that you guys might want to come to, but we can't do it unless you guys participate.
That's still crappy.
They sold out. They had, I don't know how many they had, but they had, 100 guests they were allowed to have. Every one of those.
That's
But that's
crappy.
where the trend is coming from. But this guy, Hassan, I agree with you. I think he's out of line. He's saying, this guy said he's already spent $200,000 on his wedding and he wants to have a really great wedding. And if people want to come to it, they need to pay.
I think that especially in the Mexican culture, I kind of grew up in the Mexican culture and like when you have a quinceañera, so everybody in the family pitches in on a quinceañera. And so they either, Uncle Joe is going to pay for the cake and Aunt Mary is going to pay for your dress. And everybody kind of has you're participating in the celebration of this quinceañera.
But they're not saying if you want to come to the quinceañera, you got to pay for, you got to pay to play.
No. And the whole point of my understanding of reaching out to your family, it's family is everything, right? And so like I sponsored your dress or
you started to say, I think I cut you off. The whole point of a wedding is
the whole point of a wedding is to celebrate your love and with the people that you want around you. It's not to.
I think that's being lost these days.
Well,
I think social media has changed weddings to, this is this big event. I've got to make this splash. The picture's got to be right. The video's got to be right. It's got to be a standout wedding. And I think for a lot of couples, they've lost that this is a celebration of us going into the next phase of our life where we're going to celebrate what we're going to become going forward. And I think that's being lost a lot.
Well, I'm just saying now, I think maybe the next time I have a big party at my house, I'm going to start charging $200
$200 a person. And you know what? You'll sell out because your parties are the best.
And I have the food and the alcohol and the entertainment.
I don't even drink the alcohol.
No, you
and
don't.
I think you got great iced tea. You always have good iced tea.
You know what I did have? What did I have one time that you were there? Was it one of the parties that I had the airbrush tattoo guy? Were you there when we did that?
I missed that one.
I've done airbrush tattoos I've always
I
had
would have
something
got a
quirky.
bunch of those. That would have been fun.
Yeah, that is fun. Okay, so maybe this guy is just ugly and he wouldn't have any friends, and so he has to have this big party. So have you heard of the unattractiveness score?
No, I have not heard of this.
Okay, so there is a poll about what makes someone unattractive.
So not what makes them attractive. What makes them
unattractive? Okay, so there's the physical traits, right? And then there's the personality traits. And apparently, according to this survey or whatever, there are 8 pillars of a physical trait. There's the youthfulness, the symmetry, the averageness, which I thought was pretty funny, whether or not
So the higher the averageness, the more attractive you are?
I guess so. Your skin complexion, your hair texture, your pheromones, and your natural body odors. Okay, so that's the physical, right?
Okay.
And then the personality, your sense of humor, kindness, confidence, trustworthy, shared values, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this survey was done based on the hobbies of men and what makes them unattractive. And I zeroed in on this little group. It's actually pretty funny. So if someone plays video games, that makes you 90% unattractive.
I agree with
That's the top. I'm
going to 100% agree.
Okay.
If I'm talking to somebody and I go, hey, you want to do something on Saturday? They go, no, I'm playing Call of Duty all day. I'm like, I don't want to be friends with that person.
Okay.
Yep.
If you collect figurines, 85%.
Are there guys that collect would this be like Marvel characters?
Maybe. Or like Star Wars or something like that.
Yes.
Okay. How about magic tricks? If you pull out a magic trick,
you're not getting a date if you pull out a magic trick.
You're not getting laid. That's it. If you are an online troller, okay, I could see that. That's 75%. I'm just going down to like the most attractive. If you're a gambling. Okay. If you build model trains, Doesn't your dad build
Stop.
Didn't he used to build model trains?
Yes, but he's at that age where that's a cool thing, though.
Well, I didn't make this up.
there are grannies for guys with model trains. It's a Facebook page.
Okay, grannies for model trains. Taxidermy. That's
Oh my
60%.
God! Yeah.
Comic book collecting. Okay,
yeah.
and then way down on the list is and it's only 50%. But if you're a bird watcher,
Jeez.
But I think that's pretty funny. The magic trick one I thought was really funny. Like can you imagine being on a date and like if I'm married, but if I was on a date and some guy's like, pick a card, any card. Like, immediately no, leave right now.
What about guys that are into astrology? Hey, what's your sign?
Oh no, I couldn't. I guess that kind of goes also with like the shared values, right? I don't do the astrology.
So you got to do a story on what is attractive, because I can tell all of our male listeners out there right now,
There's
guys.
two of them. There's two.
There's two. Guys, are you with me on this? We have no idea what you women find attractive. We have no freaking idea. We try and we're like, okay, and then I think I got it figured out, and then you guys change the game on us and we don't know.
No, I will tell Todd, like he'll get in, I'll say, cut your hair like this, right? And then we'll do his hair. You know what? All you need to have a guy, an adult male in your life is to have a teenage girl or a girl that's in your 20s to tell you what you look like, because they will tell you, ew, why is your hair like that? Ew,
you know what?
Why are you wearing that?
But here's the problem. You get to a certain age where pretty much whatever you wear you look old in it. I'm getting to that age where I have what I call my little uniform, my look, and I try to be what's comfortable for me. But I've noticed when I put stuff on, sometimes it's like, you can't wear those shoes, man. You're just too old for those.
I was never so humbled going through Todd's closet one day with Kendall, and Kendall was like, ooh, why? It was like a polo shirt. Why does this polo shirt have a pocket on it? No. Anything with a pocket and a collar, not like this, but like she was like,
there are women in our audience right now going, I like guys with polos with pockets.
No, they're not.
Yes, there are. This is why it's like this weird formula that you all have, and it's constantly changing. I think you do it on purpose just to keep us on our toes. It's like, oh, the guys are getting it figured out. Let's change the game. I think that's what happens.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah. I don't know. You know, I find my husband very attractive, even if he wears polos with pockets.
He's a good-looking man. He's a good-looking man. I say that as a heterosexual man myself. I would date him. I got a story. Fewer teens are driving these days. And the gist of the story is that it is more expensive now to drive than at any point in history. And teens are getting to... I got my driver's license the day I turned 16.
Me too.
Yeah. I mean, when I was younger, it was everybody I knew was waiting for that day. And you might get it a week or two after you turn 16, but you are getting a car. You are going to be able to drive as soon as you possibly can.
Do you think it's the expense, or do you think it's also, one, mom and dad drives them around everywhere, and two, a lot of these kids aren't leaving the house. They're staying home playing video games.
Yeah. Guys, did you hear that?
Yeah.
Video games, not attractive.
Yeah.
Part of it, a lot of it's the expense, because it's way more expensive to have a teenager that's a driver now. And so a lot of parents...
So you think it's the parents are driving this, or the kids are driving?
No, I think it's the kids. I think, you get to, it's like if you're 18, a lot of times the parents want to pass on some of the responsibility for paying for the car and the insurance to the kids, just so they learn some responsibility. Some of these kids are deciding that they don't want to.
But I think insurance companies, if you're 16 or if you have a child that's 16 and they get their driver's license, I think your insurance company knows that, and they automatically add them to your insurance policy, because that happened to us.
Really?
So
they know you got a driver's license.
You got, somehow they're.
Well, I'm sure that's pretty easy to track.
I'll have to ask Paul Guerrero about that because that happened to us. We forgot to add one of the kids. I couldn't remember who it was. And Todd went and added them, and they're like, oh, they're already added because I guess
your
they knew.
insurance rates skyrocketed.
Yeah, we had 3 kids on our insurance
Oh
at one
God,
point.
God bless you. So, 19-year-olds with driver's license dropped from 87% in 1983 to in 2022, 68%.
Oh, wow.
So almost a 20% drop in 40 years, whatever that is. And kids now are saying that some of them are saying they're scared to drive.
Well,
That the idea of driving, and I kind of get that because when I got my driver's license 45 years ago or whatever, there was a lot less cars, there was black and white.
No, you reminded me of something where I was laughing. It was, I could have also gone down that route and made fun of you like the Flintstone. Did your feet get tired? But I remember I was first starting to drive and my dad, I was like 14 and my dad said, yeah, just drive around the neighborhood. Take your brother though. Like I didn't drive with an adult. I had Chris in there and so we pull out and Chris goes, uh-oh, here's the scary part. And I said, what is it? Because, I'm driving a stick. And he goes, cars. When he said that, I was like,
yeah.
He's like,
well, some kids don't get over that fear. And some of them, you kind of pointed it to, are relying on friends that got driver's licenses that have cars and they get around with them, or their parents, like you said, drive them until they're in their 20s.
Which they're not even really supposed to. I think until you're 18 or 20. Oh, wait, maybe it's 21. Maybe it's 18. I don't know. But you're not allowed to drive unless they're a sibling with you in the car. There's like a limit.
I don't think anybody follows that. I think we were talking about that on one of these.
I did it.
episodes.
I made my kids do that.
Yeah, but I think we talked. I don't remember. It seemed like we were talking to somebody about that on a podcast, and not many of the kids are following that anymore, even though they should. But part of this article, new car prices are up 32% since 2019.
Why do you think I still don't have a new car? Because I am waiting for the bottom to hit on that.
Well, you missed it because I think the bottom happened a while ago.
No, I'm waiting again. I wasn't ready for a new car.
Well,
My
your car's in really good shape.
I know, but I'm just I want the new Lexus TX is what I want.
Okay.
That's what I want. Anybody out there want to sponsor? I'm going to charge you $200 to ride in my car.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to see what you get.
Yeah. Well, I'm coveting this car.
Yeah.
I need something a little bigger. I feel like along with the traffic.
Now that your kids are all grown, you need something bigger.
Well, I had the big SUV, right? And then I went down to sedan, and then I went down to a crossover. SUV is what I drive right now. And I still feel like with all the accidents I'm seeing on 290, I want something a little bigger.
Yeah.
And
I get you on that. I mean, my car is not that big, and sometimes I feel like on 290, I wish I had a bigger car. Especially, I almost got hit by a guy in an F-250 the other day, and I thought, oh my God, this guy was texting on 290. I'm going 60 miles an hour next to him, and he just slowly started coming over, and there was a guardrail, and so I didn't have anywhere to go. And I finally honked my horn, and the guy straightened up, but I was like, that guy would have just smashed my car to bits.
You just need to be faster than anybody else, Steve.
Well, I punched it. Yes, I did. I punched it. So, hey, let's take a little break. I'm excited. We're going to get Trey Powers in here. So sit tight, everybody. We'll be right back.
Are you tired of being left in the dark when the power goes out? Say goodbye to blackouts with Nomic Power Solutions.
As your full-service Generac dealer, they offer individually designed backup power solutions.
From start to finish, they've got you covered.
Nomic Power Solutions, keeping you powered up.
Call or text 512-387-4232 or visit nomicpower.com. Follow on Instagram at Nomic Power for updates.
Nomic Power Solutions. Protect your home, protect your family, stay ready. Proudly sponsored by...
At Capital Farm Credit, they understand that owning land is more than just a transaction. It's a legacy, a future, and a place to call your own.
For generations, Capital Farm Credit has been the trusted lending partner for land loans, farmers, ranchers, and rural dreamers just like you.
Their personalized loan solutions cater to your unique needs, making the journey to land ownership smoother than ever.
Capital Farm Credit, your land, your legacy. Visit CapitalFarmCredit.com or Mark Rutledge at 512-892-4425.
Capital Farm Credit, an equal credit housing lender.
Interior design should be an investment in your life and home. Let M. Elliott Studio transform your space. where interior design meets excellence in Central Texas.
Beyond just selecting colors and furnishings, team principal and owner, Montana Elliott, is a trained and licensed interior designer.
With her knowledge of architectural principles, building codes, space planning, and design theory, her team will work with you to understand your needs and lifestyle.
From concept to completion, M. Elliott Studio is committed to enhancing your space with a timeless and classic style.
Ready to redefine your space?
melliottstudio.com, 512-781-0224.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Mallet Integrity Team of real estate professionals. They are based in Dripping Springs and bring you over 45 years of combined experience helping people reach their hill country real estate dreams. When you want the best in town, call them at 512-829-2062 or look them up at malletintegrityteam.com. And now, here's Steve and Michelle.
And we're back with Trey Powers. Welcome to the show, Trey.
Howdy.
Howdy. Oh, there you go.
That's
There's
right.
a Texas. There's a Texas man, born and bred. How'd you end up in Dripping Springs?
I was in Austin
Okay.
primarily my whole life, other than a few years at A&M.
Born in Austin?
Yes,
Okay.
native
Really?
Austin. Yeah, always hear that. Wow, really?
Yeah, I know. We don't
Yeah.
see many of those anymore.
Yes, really. Worked my way from northwest Austin, where I was born and raised.
Okay.
Ended up down in southwest Austin, down around the Circle C area. And when my son was 5 years old, started kindergarten, always dreamed about moving out, right?
Yeah.
When he started kindergarten at about day 5, we bumped the move up.
Oh, did you?
Immediately, yes. To the point I can tell you that he started, September 1, end August, whatever. We moved into the house out here Halloween of that year.
Really?
Yes, 6 weeks from the decision, we're out here.
So you're kind of a cowboy. I'm going to say cowboy / hippie. You like being out in the country.
Cowboy hippie?
I'll talk about the hippie thing later.
Okay, yeah, I'm interested in that. That's
yeah.
the one I've never gotten.
But so South Austin, how did you get into this lifestyle sort? Because you've got animals and you've got some land.
Oh, the background is in agriculture.
Okay.
Historically, 4 generations in Brazos County as cattle ranchers, dairymen, growing chickens. That was my life growing up.
So you lived in Austin, but
I
you
lived
go
in
out
Austin,
there to
right. The cow-calf operation was in Brazos County, just outside of Bryan, which the place is now a neighborhood. As we can relate to here.
Yeah, I hope your family made a lot of money on that.
Yeah, well, too far up the line, right?
Yeah.
But no, agriculture has been my lifeblood, my whole life.
Okay.
Even in got my degree in agriculture, and then worked in the legislature for 18 years, primarily doing agriculture related policy.
Okay.
Right. And then so it was natural. I was kind of still in that arena when I moved out here. And that was another, I knew the kids were always going to be raised in, quote, rural, if we want
Right.
to call that out here. But the ability to have a little bit of land, have a barn, them have animals, livestock shows. They both have raised steers since they were 8 years old. My daughter's a cowgirl, does rodeo, barrel racing, and that kind of thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's not by no means is it a new thing. When I came out here, it's kind of been my life from the beginning.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that about you.
What year did you move out here to Drip?
2011.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
I'm trying to think. So you lived in Circle C or around Circle C?
Western Oaks.
Western Oaks.
Still
Oh,
have
yeah.
that house.
Do you
I
really?
built it in 98. Still have it.
It's a
Great
rental?
house. Yes. And it's a good one.
Yeah, we need more of our listeners to know that's a path to wealth is to keep those houses that you first move into.
We start and I might get off base, but as I talk to young borrowers, young people maybe that are buying their first house, they're buying their quote starter home. I will always get into that.
Yeah.
Say, what is your path? I want to know a lot more about them than
Sure.
You're buying this house, let's get you there. But kind of putting that mindset of, hey, let's look at the next 30 years. You save your money for the next 5 years. You don't need that equity to buy the new one. right?
That's right.
Keep it.
Yep.
Keep it. I don't know. If
It's like a savings account that just keeps on paying.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
You wish you'd have kept yours.
I do.
Was it Shady Hollow?
No, San Antonio, where we
But
by
you,
UTSA.
even your Shady Hollow house.
Our
you
Shady
said.
Hollow. Well, we lived in Sendera, so that was.
That's right. That's right.
But you know, as it goes, and you have 3 kids, and you're living, your house poor, and you need that house to sell that house to.
Not if you
get
follow
to-
Trey's model where you
knew
put
that
Well,
the day you moved in, if that was your goal, right?
put
well,
$150 a month in an account. in
we
a
didn't
money
have
market.
a Trey Powers back then.
Yeah.
You know what? we needed a Trey Powers. Trey, you said you grew up in Northwest Austin. Whereabouts in Northwest Austin?
Mesa and Greystone, Spicewood Springs area.
Okay.
And do you grow up on property out there?
No, neighborhood, Northwest
Neighborhood.
Hills.
So,
Yes.
so would you just in the summer go up to the cattle operation?
Probably. Well, both sets of grandparents, both of my parents grew up in Bryan.
Okay.
So, and the farm was there. That was as a partnership with my grandfather, my dad, and my uncle.
Okay.
So probably every other weekend we were there.
Really, that much? Gee.
Yeah, whether it was just, visiting or there was work to be done, whatever it was. And then lots of time in the summers.
Yeah.
Yep.
What did they make you do up there when you were up there working?
Everything.
Fence building.
Fence building.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fence
big
building,
part of
fence
cattle.
mending.
Character
Yes.
building.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, character
Digging
building.
holes, right? But I'll tell you what, it's fun to dig holes in Brazos County compared to here.
Oh,
It's
no
like
kidding,
Sandy
yeah.
Loam.
Yeah.
You can dig a fence pole, a post hole there probably in, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes you half an hour. It might take you all day, actually, here in some
Right.
places.
Do you
else.
have siblings?
I do. I have an older brother. He lives in Round Rock. He is in the agriculture insurance, crop insurance,
Okay.
rainfall insurance, ranching insurance. That's his
Okay.
business. He
So
owns his
all
own
in the
business.
family.
It is.
What did your dad do for a living?
Dad was a lobbyist at the Capitol.
Really?
He was a lobbyist for the Texas Farm Bureau,
Oh,
lobbyist for the Texas Poultry Federation.
Okay.
When he retired, he then hated retirement. I could see that. I don't understand. I don't know that I would. I don't know if he'd
We've talked
agree
about
with
that,
me.
yeah.
Right. He retired, hated it, and went back and was the legislative director for the Texas Animal Health Commission, which oversees health and our livestock animals in the state.
Do you miss that world that you were in working at the Capitol?
It was a blast to be in on things that nobody else knows. I think it's fun to look back. I could look back at the agriculture code and I can say, I wrote that. Different statutes. And just being involved in this is what's driving our state. That was a blast. It was time to get out when we turned from Texas politics to national politics within our state. I was done.
What do you mean by that?
Okay, when I cut my teeth working in the legislature, you had George Bush was the governor.
Right.
Bob Bullock was the lieutenant governor, and Pete Laney, who was a cotton farmer way up in the Panhandle, was the Speaker of the House. Those three had breakfast every Friday. The three of them together got along great. They were friends, disagreed on several things, I'm sure. But all three, I believe, truly had what's best for the state of Texas in mind. Their policies were driven in that direction. That's what they did. And for the 18 years that I was around, that was a vast pendulum change, going from that to what do we do to redraw district lines to make sure we get more Republican districts or fighting for it. It really turned into not being enjoyable.
Right.
Probably the first 10 years, I'll say, leaving an office about 2 blocks away from the Capitol, and like as the sun's coming up, you're walking toward the Capitol and walking in. Every day it was just grand. Wow, how can I be this lucky to do this?
Yeah.
And by the end, the idea of walking into the Capitol, the metal detectors had been put in. It's all this security. I dreaded it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you think that's across the board? But a lot of states are kind of experience that. It's just the political climate nowadays.
It very well may be. I'd hope there's some, rural states way up in, Montana or Wyoming. Maybe they're not, although apparently they are. I just read an article this morning. I think about the Montana governor and how it's tying in. But
isn't that Kevin Costner? Isn't
But I'll tell you, I don't follow it anymore.
Yeah.
Intentionally.
Probably good for your mental health. I do think that one of the things that's been lost in this country in general is that people that disagree with each other used to be able to get along. Like you could have somebody maybe that had a different political view than you, but you could go fishing with them and have a great time.
Yeah.
But people don't do that anymore.
People are rabid. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy that someone would drive so much of their life or their lives based on,
an
the
ideology
politics of the time, an ideology or an individual. It's nuts.
Yeah. And you can't, we shouldn't vilify other people just because they have a different belief. And some of the stuff that people vilify other people about at the end of the day is stupid. I mean, it's like, really, you're all balled up about that little thing. That was one of the reasons we started this podcast, because we think people that can talk can get along a lot better.
Right.
So, and that's what you were mentioning. You've done some shows like this, but they've been on the phone. One of the reasons we do them in person is because it's different when you're sitting across the table.
This is fantastic to look and talk. Yeah, this is great.
It makes a big difference.
Yeah.
But so now you're working for Citibank Mortgage.
Yes.
And how long have you been doing that?
10 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I see on the website, it says mortgage consultant. Mm-hmm. And that's different than what normally.
Most are loan officers.
Yeah.
Right. This is just the name. Right.
Okay.
It's not.
Are you really a loan officer? But the bank. Okay.
Yes. And consultant, I would say, for the very reason we were discussing a minute ago.
Yeah.
Right. Are we talking just about, hey, this is the interest rate. This is what you need to qualify. I need your W-2s. I need your bank statements. No. This is, what are your goals? Lots of questions. I always tell borrowers or potential borrowers right off the bat, hey, I want you to know, very different than anyone you may have worked with in the past. I'm going to ask a lot of questions.
Yeah, you run your business a lot differently than a lot of different people.
Well, I mean, look at me. I'm the non-banker banker, right? This is, I use that a lot. I'm the non-banker banker. But yeah, consultant. I want to help them meet their goals, not just to get into this house now.
Right.
And, a lot of life experience, a lot of experience in a lot of different things that can share and I really think, help those I'm working with achieve their goals.
Have you ever been that typical salesman, like close, get, No.
He doesn't look like he has the personality.
I agree, but I wanted, so when you got into the business, did you have an idea of the way you wanted to run it? Because the way you run your business is different than a lot of the mortgage people. Being in the real estate business, I know 100+ people in the mortgage business. Your business stands out from a lot of those others. So when you got in the business, did you decide this is how I'm going to run the business, or has it evolved?
That's the way I've done. That's the way I've lived my life. For whatever reason, from a young age, I like to help people.
Yeah.
Whatever I'm working on at the Capitol, I was known as Mr. Nice Guy, not the cutthroat, beat you to death with little rules and trick you and lie to you to get.
So is Steve. That's so weird.
Yeah, that's
Steve
exactly
is known as
right. What is wrong with that, Michelle?
But so that translated itself very easily into what I'm doing now. When I get a phone call, I just want to help them. I probably spend, as y'all do, I bet I do twice as many calls with people that call me. I'm never going to do a loan for them. We may be on the phone for 30 minutes. I'm going to help them figure out how to navigate what they're trying to do.
Right.
Very often it may be something that I could do. An example is a cash out refinance, right? Hey, I need money. I've got equity. We want to build a pool, consolidate debt, whatever that may be. We're going to talk it out. It may very well be that there's a product that's better for you than what I have to offer right now.
Oh, and you're pointing towards that?
Absolutely.
Do you equate that to like your style of business, the way you run your professional life? Do you equate that to maybe your upbringing and the whole mindset of helping others before you help yourself. Was that something that maybe your father or grandfather kind of instilled in you?
No doubt my grandparents lived that life. Everything that I saw, they were both retired by the time that I can remember being around them, but that is how they lived their lives. My grandfather had an incredible impact on me from a very young age all the way until he died. Yeah, so I've thought about that, and I've never, no, let me take that back. I haven't thought about it enough till you just asked the question that, yes, I would point to my grandfather, Pops. Who drove me to that. I really believe. Yep.
I feel like that your approach to business is from a kinder, gentler generation than we have now.
Well, yeah,
everybody's like going 1,000,000 miles an hour, trying to chase the next deal. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, two phones, and it's like, you've slowed down and you look at every person that you talk to as an individual and try and figure out what their needs are. It's rare.
So I've had a coach for a long time. I'm a firm believer in it. Whatever industry you're in, someone else looking from the outside that's there in your best interest, they're able to see things that we can't see ourselves. And probably for 6 months when we started, I drove him crazy because he was driving me toward the close, which you asked earlier.
Yeah.
No, from the minute you start talking, it's about the close.
Right.
You're
Getting the deal done.
You're too nice, right? You're going to, as you have coffee with a realtor, you're not ending with what's the next step to develop this relationship so that you're getting referrals. No, I want you to know me. I want to know you. And it's going to work itself out.
You turn the tables on your coach. You've coached your coach.
It is interesting. And now it's gone from that to he's seen the success that I've had, and a lot of it has come from him.
Yeah.
But he also believes very much in we're all unique. Be yourself.
Right.
If you're not yourself, it shows.
Yeah.
There's no way I could there's a lot of mortgage coaches. There's a script you call every Friday. I imagine y'all get calls on Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know the script. You know what program they're doing.
Yeah.
Is that the Buffini method? Is that the...
I don't know.
I think it is a Buffini method.
I hear about them a lot.
I think the whole sales thing has changed, though. Like back when I joined Keller Williams in 2007, they were like cold calls, door knocking. You know, you got to meet whatever it was, 100 people to get one deal done, and as soon as you meet 100 people, you're gonna get another deal in the pipeline. And now, even at Keller Williams, they're about relationships. Yeah. They're about, okay, I'd rather meet 5 people and have a relationship with them than meet 500 people that I just get their card and boom, I'm moving on down the road.
Well, we hear it all the time, and I don't know, was it some big epiphany at some point? I don't know, but it's you do business with those that you know, like, and trust.
Right.
That's it. So knowing them, that's up to me. I have to reach out. Liking, hey, you're going to like me or not.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to completely be myself. We're going to see where that goes. And the trust, I've been told I'm trustworthy. They believe that when I meet you and we sit down and talk, I feel like I can trust you. That's been it was one of the
things that jumped out at me when I first met you is you are who you are. You're totally comfortable in your skin. Right. Like when you meet a realtor, you don't like put on, okay, I got to put my hat on that where I talk to realtors, and you put a different hat on when you're doing something else. This is Trey. This is what you get. Take me or leave me.
I got to tell you,
which I think is rare.
That first year, I had some mentors. They were advising me on what I needed to do. So I'm living out here in Dripping Springs. I can't tell you how much time I spent in Austin going to these networking events. And these networking events, it may be a room of 50 people that are all kind of brand new insurance agent, real estate agents, mortgage people, whatever they are. Absolutely grueling.
Yeah, that's a great word for that. That is grueling.
You know, the only way it's going to work is if you can then get a one-on-one with those people. Right. But I was way out of my element doing that in Austin.
Yeah.
Right. The Austin people in those industries are very different than what we have out here anyway. I woke up one day and I'm like, my gosh, I've been out here in Dripping Springs. I've been very involved in the kids' schools and some other charitable things. What in the world am I doing driving to Austin trying to get business when we're the fastest growing anywhere around here? I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm staying at Dripping. I'm all Dripping all the time. I'm all local, and I'm going to work with my friends.
You know, it's funny that you should say that, because I was thinking most recently I stepped away from a networking group that I was kind of not actively involved in, like super actively involved in, but I was involved in. And I just felt like it served its purpose, and I have kind of outlived that purpose, because I feel that the connections that I was making through there were not very genuine. Like they were ticking something off a box, like, oh, I'd like to meet you for coffee.
Right.
And it was more of like a tit for tat kind of thing. It's instead of like, I don't really want to get to know you kind of scenario. But yeah, you started your own networking group. You do property tours here in Dripping Springs.
A couple of things. I do the property tour every 2 weeks or twice a month.
You're involved in chamber.
I also have, about 8 years ago, my wife Kim and I started the Dripping Springs Christian Business Networking Group.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Uh-huh.
So that's another one twice a month. Every other Wednesday, a group gets together, anywhere from 5 or 6 people to up to 20 or 22, 25 people.
Wow.
And so when I was talking about the grueliness of networking events, that's Austin.
Right.
Here, I absolutely love it.
I could tell when we've done the property tour with you, you can tell you're having a good time with it. You enjoy it.
Well, if there's something I'm doing and I'm not having a good time, I'm done doing it.
Yeah.
Life's too short.
That's me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I think if it's grueling, then I've got to sign up for it, because that's my thing.
If it's miserable.
Are you a mortgage broker, or does every loan you do come from Citibank?
No.
Okay.
That's the beauty. The way that our bank works, and I encourage someone to look at the logo and look at the name Citibank. This is Citi, C-I-T-Y. Our logo is a windmill. It's a bank
not
based out of the
not
Panhandle.
C-I-T-I,
It's
not the
headquartered
big
in
one,
Lubbock,
yeah.
Texas,
Okay.
only in Texas and in Mexico. This is not the worldwide conglomerate. Yeah, I get my 2% back on my Citi card.
Yeah.
Completely different deal.
Right.
And then, so I'm afforded two opportunities as a loan officer or mortgage consultant. I get to act as a broker. I'm shopping 20, 25 banks. When I have a borrower, we're going to find the best deal. Of course, in order to do that, you've got to fit in the box in qualifying.
Right.
Your Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac guideline, FHA, you have to fit in that box.
Okay.
If something's off a little bit and you don't fit in that box, we have our own bank portfolio products that are there to catch those that otherwise may not qualify.
Okay.
Now, that doesn't mean we have products for the 580 credit score. We have products for the self-employed guy or the foreign national or the new student at a dental school.
Okay.
These kind of products, right?
Okay.
We can get them qualified at this point. We have a bank guy up there in Lubbock who is looking at a loan, and he's looking at it as one thing. Is this a good loan? Is this a safe loan for the bank?
For the bank. Are we going to get our money back plus the interest? Right. Yeah.
And if it is, we're going to do it.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if that was the path or not. And then do you have relationships with other people in town? If somebody doesn't fit in the box, you can say,
absolutely.
If you can't get them done with the bank or with a broker. Okay.
Yes.
I've always wondered this. I don't know if you'll tell me. In the real estate business, if I have somebody that's moving to New Mexico, and I know realtors in New Mexico, I can send that realtor the name of the person that's moving there, get them connected, make sure it's a good fit. And then when that person sells them something, I get a referral. Do you guys do that in the mortgage business?
No.
You don't do
No.
that. Is that illegal in the mortgage business?
Yes.
Is it really?
Any payment for any referral at all is a no-no.
Oh, I probably shouldn't have said that out loud.
Yeah.
Now they'll sue us for that.
No, that's a good question.
Yeah, I just wondered,
there's so much in my industry that I would love to change.
Yeah.
If I were the king, right? Robert Earl Keen song on a first album. There's a lot that I would change. And the things that happen in my industry that I see as wrong, as shady, very pervasive.
Yeah.
I see it everywhere. It drives me nuts, but
Well, you know about the lawsuits that the real estate business is going through. I actually think you guys might be lined up to be next.
What can they do to us?
Well, that's what I said about the real estate
I
business.
guess they could cut my commission in half.
Yeah,
wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, it's you know what I don't think it's going to affect our bottom line. I think the lawsuit that was settled with NAR. I think what's going to happen is we're going to have a lot more paperwork, a lot more hoops to jump through, and we're going to make the same amount of money. I think that's what's going to end up.
So in my study with it, it seems like the Department of Justice keeping their eyeball on, seeing what's going to happen and becoming involved is much more scary than
Michelle
what's
and I were
happening.
just talking about that yesterday. I think that's maybe why NAR settled that lawsuit. But I want to ask you kind of now, since we've opened up that sort of national can of worms,
right?
What's your crystal ball telling you is going to happen to rates in the next month or 6 months or a year? I'm
going to start it with the same answer I always give.
Yeah.
Every prediction for the last 5 years of a 6-month future, a 1-year future has been wrong. These
from
have
you
been,
or from everybody?
No.
From everybody.
These are from the experts. These are from the head economist for this national organization, from this national
all the talking heads
yes.
have gotten it wrong time and time and time
There's
again.
too much you can't predict.
Yeah.
You cannot, things were headed a certain way you couldn't predict when the Ukraine war popped up. Right. That was kind of a big surprise. There's too many things you can't predict.
Yeah.
They're all making predictions of what will happen depending on how the election goes. You don't know how the market's going to react.
Yeah.
It's all based on bonds. People buying and selling bonds, that's going to dictate our interest rate. Now, all that said, when we go from, the lowest rates in history, right, we were getting 30% rates as low as 2.5%. That was scary for us in the industry. We knew it wasn't real. We knew it was very artificially deflated.
Right.
But when they go from that all the way to almost 8%, I think we can all agree they're not going to go to 18 like they were, say, in the
but they're
70s,
also not going to go to
80s.
3 again.
They will no, we don't think they will.
Yeah.
But I would say just based on where we were, where we've been more recently, and what's going to happen, they should settle. Right. The inflation is getting under control. Rates have dropped 1 to 1.5% over the last 6 months, I'd say. I would assume as the Fed starts cutting the short-term interest rate, it's the money that banks loan each other overnight, that we should continue to drop down. How far? I think that's anyone's guess.
Yeah, I think what's holding up, because this is definitely a dip in our real estate market that is being felt across the nation and felt pretty strongly in Austin, is just people getting used to this new normal, and that 6.5 is what you're going to pay to go borrow money to buy a house. And once people get their head wrapped around that, I think there's too many people out there thinking, prices are going to drop 20% and rates are going to hit 4.5%. And that's just not going to happen. And if you're waiting for that to happen, by the time you jump in, you're going to have missed the best buying opportunity. The best buying opportunity is probably right now.
I've heard and believe it that the best time to buy any piece of property was yesterday.
Yeah.
Right? I believe that. Right? Rates are high. Great. They're going to come down at some point. We'll refinance.
Yeah.
Right? It's the best asset that you can own. I believe. But I think, what can we control? We can't control it, right?
Yeah.
Rates are going to come down. What I can't tell you is when.
Yeah.
We thought for sure they'd be down in the 5s by now. A year ago, we had that plan.
I know. I remember that. Yeah. We were all saying, when they get the 5s, man, the market's going to go insane. And it never has.
When you said something when you asked that question or made the point, you said nationwide. One thing that's I don't know if it's frustrating, if it's interesting or what have you, always in the national news, what we're hearing is there's no inventory. There's no inventory. There's no inventory. And I'm like, goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Hey, come down to Dripping Springs, Texas. Right? If you want to buy, we've got one for you.
Yeah.
A couple of them, right?
Yeah. I want to piggyback. I know you got a question, but I want to piggyback on something you said about the best time to buy a property is yesterday. I've had so many people over the years ask me, because I own quite a bit of investment property, how do you make money in investment property? And the way you make money, you don't always look, you don't look for the best deal, the one that is just gold plated. You just go find something that makes sense and you buy it. You may not get the best price on it. You may not get the best interest rate on it, but I guarantee you in 5 years, when you look back on it, you'll go, man, that was pretty smart. I'm glad I did that.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Michelle. Sorry.
Well, I was going to just kind of shift gears a little bit and talk about all the other things that you're involved in. I mean, you've been involved in the Chamber, Hometown Missions, the Hays County Farm Bureau, actively involved in your church, and then the Lone Star Cattleman Foundation. And I just want to know how or what has your heart, like what you and your wife, I think, started the Lone Star Cattleman Foundation, right?
Well, no, actually, Kim and I have been married 8 years.
Oh.
And Lone Star Cattleman, we're like 22 years now.
Okay, wow,
Right.
I didn't realize
we started
that.
it in, me and one other guy started it in 2001.
Wow.
Yes. So it seems like the things that I work on are either what I love and believe in, and that's youth, right? And my love in agriculture, the two tie in together. That's the part of the Lone Star Cattleman that drives me.
And tell people what that is for those that don't know.
The Lone Star Cattleman Foundation. So livestock shows, we all know that probably around here. You know somebody that shows lambs or goats or steers, right? Those that do fairly well in the livestock show, they then take those animals to an auction where local business people, different buyers group that pool money together, they actually go and they bid on those animals and the kid gets the money. Okay. So whereas a lot of youth activities, right? How much, what's the dollar return on select baseball? That's a joke, right?
Yeah.
Right. Because one out of probably about 10,000 of those
that was
kids
the number I was thinking, is 1 out of
10,000.
Yeah, might go on and play. Yeah.
But it's an activity on the livestock show side. So both of my kids, starting when they were 8 years old, have raised and shown steers, right? Cattle.
Yeah.
You can look at the time investment, the responsibility, all the things that they have to do for their project. There's no other place that they're going to get those values. So I believe in that, and anything that we can do to continue that. And as we become more and more urban, to keep some part of rural life with our kids is very important. And the Lone Star Cattleman Foundation, it's a big one.
Is it?
That's one that I would have never dreamed for it to grow to the size that we're at now.
What do you think the most important lessons are, though, to an adolescent that is raising an animal? Like, what? It's not just about raising that animal. There's a whole bunch of other.
Always getting beat. Best lesson. Losing. To me, losing is the best lesson that we can ever give our kids. And when you lose at the livestock show, there is no participation ribbon. There, right? You're doing the same amount of work, unloading everything, all of your setup, your stalls, you're loading in the trailer. It's a ton of work, and you're going home with your tail between your legs. A lot more value in the lessons there than going home with the banner.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I agree with that. Yeah. A lot of people think losing something is a failure, but I guarantee a lot of those kids go home and they go, how am I going to do it better next time?
Absolutely.
Which is a great
And we'll talk
lesson.
about that on the way home. What happened? What went wrong? Where can we improve? Were there some days over the last 3 weeks that you should have been working that steer more? Should you have been washing and working the hair more? Yes.
And
you want to win?
Yeah.
Let's go work harder.
Along with that, I was telling you a little bit before when we started, Steve and I, we were doing our monologue, I was talking about the unattractiveness score of someone. And one of the ones on there.
This does not pertain to you,
This
Trey.
does not pertain to you, Trey.
This is just coincidental.
But one of them was taxidermy, and I saw in your bio that you also enjoy taxidermy.
I do.
But then you started on a story, and I stopped you because we were off air.
Right.
And you talked about you don't like to do mounts where they're looking at you.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I don't.
So,
I don't. For one thing, those when you see what you would say is a beautiful mount, right? Maybe it's a duck, right? That's not as offensive to some as a huge elk with eyeballs looking at you.
Yeah.
I love all that stuff. Don't get
Yeah.
me wrong.
Big old eyeballs.
The guys that do that, they're artists. A lot of times they may not be even hardcore hunters or fishermen. Those guys are incredible artists. They have a talent and skill that I don't have. What I do is, people that hunt will know this immediately, but it's a European mount.
Okay.
And so what we're doing is you're taking, like, I could see the unattractiveness for some, right? But anyway, forget it.
You're removing all the flesh.
No, I'm not going there.
No, I
Steve,
want
Steve
to
is
know
going
the
there.
no. I want to know the process. I want to know. Okay, so you have a head.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
so
let
we
me start
with
with
the
the
head.
end, right? So
Okay.
that people know what we're talking
Okay.
about. If you think about like old England, very distinguished type hunters, you do not see deer heads, right? What you see is a very clean, bleached skull,
Right.
bones with the antlers.
Emphasis on the antlers is what
Yes,
you're emphasizing.
that's right.
in.
And so that's what I do. I do maybe 50 or 100 of them a year.
Wow.
It's
Really?
just a-
That many? I
Oh,
didn't
yeah,
know that.
yeah.
Jeez.
So
it's a fun hobby.
Now back away from it. Okay,
Okay.
so now we have the end product. Do you have a field of just headless or like just
Headless deer.
headless deer, or do you have a bunch of?
So where are you getting these to mount? Are people
they're-
bringing them
People
to you?
bringing them to me.
Okay.
Yes.
They just bring you the head.
Yes.
Okay, so they bring you the head.
Here we
I
go.
have questions, okay?
Okay.
I have questions. So they bring you the head, and then are you peeling and stripping, or like, because I think my father-in-law did one for my son, and they put it in an ant pile.
Yeah,
Or
that's
something?
one way you could do it.
Okay, so are you?
Okay,
Is
yeah.
it chemicals
so
or?
I'm not gonna get into to great detail on it.
Yeah, the
right?
graphic.
But you get a head, and everything that's not a bone needs to come off.
Ah,
So that comes off.
and is that
then
physically you?
a lot of it? Right.
Okay.
You can only get so much, and then there's a process by which you can have this thing in a certain type of water.
Oh,
And you have
I've seen Breaking
you
Bad,
have
so I know.
microbes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have microbes building up so much that basically it just
How long
eats
does the
everything off of it.
process? What does it take?
About 10 days I can get one turned around.
Oh,
now.
wow.
Right.
Wow,
And then so you get it to where it's clean, right? It has nothing on it. It's just kind of it's a wet skull,
right.
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you have to go through a process. You don't have to, but if you want to do it right, you degrease it, right? Bones have oil and fat in them.
Yeah.
You've got to get all of that out. So there's a process again in doing that. Then you dry it, and you. I'm one of Sally's Beauty Supplies best customers.
Oh,
right?
really?
Because you're using hair products to
No.
finally get it to its finished state, being very
Wow.
bright.
I did
clean,
not
and
know
white.
like
all
the
this,
toner or whatever, you have the color, and then you have what is it, the toner
It's
in
a
your
40 volume bleach
interesting.
with
See,
basic
Things
white.
you learn on Mallet and Michelle.
that's right.
Right.
That
Yeah, I
is
didn't
that's
know. I
fascinating.
didn't know this morning when I woke up we'd be
no,
be talking about
you didn't know that.
taxidermy.
You didn't know
Yeah.
that. It just kind of popped up right there.
Yeah. You mentioned, I want to get to this before we run out of time. You mentioned that when you were 30 years old, you hitchhiked to California.
That's where the
I did.
Go
hippie
to
comes
school.
in.
Yeah.
That was part of my hippie comment. Well, hippie is, well, you play guitar. You are who you are. Take me or leave me. And you hitchhiked to California
Right.
from Texas when you were 30 years old.
So no tie dye and no long hair. Love Willie to death.
Yeah.
Have my whole life. I've always liked doing kind of some wild and crazy things, and it's part of this is there was quite a bit of a life change for me even after I got here to Dripping Springs. A lot related to my own faith.
Okay.
A lot in just growing up, a lot in how I wanted to raise my kids and how I wanted them to see what a father is, what a man is. Back in my 30s and earlier, very different guy. You wouldn't have recognized, you wouldn't have known me. Recognized, maybe. I don't think maybe I looked
Did you have
younger.
lots of hair?
Yeah, I did have hair.
You
back
think
then.
you were a little rougher around the edges?
No, never rough around the edges, but I was the guy you wanted to be with at the party.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just fun.
Huh.
You're
had
not
fun.
not fun now.
No,
gonna
it's just
say.
it's a very different fun.
You're a little
But
more
anyway,
mellow now, maybe.
Yeah, it was. I used to do. I like to do exciting things. Went to spend a month in Europe. Right, ice climbing. Everybody always asks, "Hey, have you ever jumped out of an airplane?" I have. I did it over the Swiss Alps.
Wow.
Right, that's kind of cool. Right, had to go on that Europe trip. That was all based around Oktoberfest in Munich.
Okay.
Right, so that kind of thing, or Mardi Gras. Used to love doing those kinds of things. So, for whatever reason, I was 29 or 30. The legislative session had adjourned. I had some free time. I was single at this time. I had a buddy drop me off at the Love's truck stop on I-10 outside of Luling.
Did you just have a backpack?
I had a backpack, a guitar, and a cowboy hat.
Oh
And
my goodness.
I'll bet you I got to Los Angeles quicker than anybody could have if they were in a car.
Did you get in one truck or did you have multiple stops along the way?
Multiple.
Really?
What was your favorite ride? Your
I
favorite?
would never remember his name, but it was this gentleman who, oh gosh, is it Marvin Gaye, the singer?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Right? Just
Marvin Gaye is
deep,
a singer.
Right. This,
Yeah.
he was a lot like that guy, right?
Had the voice.
He did. And I learned a lot from that guy. It
Yeah.
was fun, right? Just learning.
You spent 8 or 10 hours with him in a truck,
with
just
each
driving
one,
along, talking.
doing nothing
yeah.
but talking,
Yeah.
right?
Do you think that like that type of person, the people that pick up hitchhikers, like the truckers that pick
I
up?
don't think that happens as much
Well,
anymore.
I
I
would
think
think
they do.
But
They
do you
do a
think?
lot.
Do you think
Do
they
they?
do it
You
for
think they do?
the
They do.
company?
They're lonely.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is it just
They're lonely. They love the conversation, and I think, a guy maybe that's hitchhiking that maybe looks a little questionable.
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't get picked up quite as
Right.
much, but the
But
guy
you
that
did,
was
you
dressed
didn't
like
ever
I
stand
was,
on the side of the freeway with your thumb out.
I did not.
Did
Didn't
you-
have to.
But you would go up to a guy going, "Hey, are you heading west? And
That's
can I
exactly
hitch a
right.
ride with
At
you?"
that first truck stop. But here's the fun stuff: when we would get to the point where they were breaking off I-10 or going to do whatever they were going to do, it wasn't like drop you off, good luck. They're on their CB radio finding you your next ride.
No way.
Oh.
Yeah, they are. Hey, got a rider headed to L.A. Anyone headed that way? Yeah.
So-
they both pull over. I jump out and go
it's
get
kind
that
of
one.
like it was kind of like a the trucker's code of ethic to make sure you weren't getting in the car with a serial killer. So now
Yeah.
you get to LA, right? What did you do when you got to LA? Just turn around and go back?
So I went to Hermosa Beach, right? And so this is funny. You don't see a whole lot of big rigs pull up there at Hermosa Beach.
Dropping
because I
off
had done-
guys
You
in
also
cowboy
don't see
hats.
guys with cowboy
Cowboy
hats
hats.
and
No,
guitars.
no.
Yeah.
I was the only one, but I had done a little research. I knew there was a youth hostel.
Okay.
And God forbid, I'm 30 years old, kind of pretending to be this young backpack traveler. But did that and just hung out. You can travel like that on $20 a day, maybe
Yeah,
$15
no
a day. I
kidding,
think
yeah.
the hostel was $10 a night. There was a bar immediately down below. I'd go down with my guitar. I would play, and this is not what those out there were used to, and they loved it. Right.
So get a little tip money.
So
Yeah,
a little
it
tip
was.
money, yeah.
That carried it every day. And when you sing John Denver Country Road, Take Me Home, right? Everybody learned this in Europe too, where we took our guitars, my buddy and I. Everybody knows that song.
They know, and they'll sing
Everybody
along
wants
with you.
to sing it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you fly
It's
back
true.
or take a bus
Oh,
back?
I flew back.
I was going to say, like you didn't do.
All that tip money went a long
So
way.
now you have your own children.
Right.
If one of your kids came up to you and said, "Dad,
I'm hitchhiking to California.
I'd say, Nathan, I'll drop you off. Let's go. I would say, Millie,
Yeah.
no way.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
But you ask about flying.
Yeah.
I met some guys that were traveling the U.S., young guys just graduated college from Australia, right? And they were staying in the youth hostel. We had a great time for a couple of days, but they were moving on, and they wanted to go to Las Vegas. And I'm like, I'm up for that. Let's go. And actually rented a car. And the four of us drove to Las Vegas. We spent a couple of days, and then they were going to move on. I still had a couple of weeks, so I just jumped on, got a Southwest flight back to LA, and just got a cab right back over to my hostel. Yeah.
Well,
And then when I was done, I took a cab to the airport and very comfortably flew home.
Well, man, I think there's a lot of kids these days that don't do those adventures. I was telling my daughter Grace to go live your adventures now, because once you start getting a career and you have a kid or two, it's a lot harder to have those adventures.
Yeah. So my son Nathan, we dropped him off 2 weeks ago at Tarleton in Stephenville. He's going for a construction science degree. I had not pushed it, but always made these ideas or suggestions. Like, Nathan, there's nothing they're going to teach you that it would be more valuable than you spending 6 months on your own trouncing around.
Right. You can learn a lot by just being out there in the world talking to people.
Yep.
Do you have rapid fires?
I do.
Can I do the first one?
Yep.
Oh, what's this? Let's go.
So she's going to ask you just some rapid fire questions, but my first one is social media, blessing or curse?
Blessing.
Is it blessing?
Ooh.
It is.
Oh, good.
Yes.
You're different than me.
Wow. That's
It is
different
for,
than any...
and I got to say, so this is rapid. I don't know if I should stop.
You can,
yeah.
But it's been incredible for my business.
Yeah.
Now, it's gotten to where used to Facebook was you see your friends, you're getting updates on their kids. This is great. I don't get that anymore if I go on. It's just ad, sponsored. That's annoying.
Yeah.
But for business, I think
It's worked
great.
out good for
I
you,
love the
so.
video side of doing it.
Yeah, and you've done some good videos too.
Yeah, you do have good social media presence. Okay. Early morning chores or late night animal care?
Early morning chores. A lot of it depends on, are the kids home? Are they doing their work on it? For instance, Nathan's gone. Millie was not here last night, so mine was up at 5:30. Usually I'll wait till you can just start to see outside.
Yeah.
Head down to the barn, and we're going to pretend it didn't rain last night. 'Cause that's a huge difference, right? So cleaning out stalls, horse stalls, steer stalls, feeding the animals, getting them in their right spot in the barn, and then caring for plants and gardening, crops.
Well,
Is that the best part of your day? Most
It
days?
is.
Yeah.
It really is.
I'm still in bed under the covers.
La La
I'm still in
Land.
bed. Okay. Would you rather drive a tractor or would you rather drive a truck?
Truck.
What do you always carry in your pocket? You leave
Wallet, pocket knife, phone.
pocket knife. And how many baseball caps do you own?
Oh
I
gosh.
always see you with a different baseball cap.
Yeah. I bet I have 100.
Wow.
But the reality is I only wear 2 caps. I either wear a Citibank mortgage cap or a Lone Star Cattleman cap.
Well, we didn't even touch on the fact that you are also known for your cantaloupe in this area, and
Yes.
I know
You
it's
dropped me one off in my house,
Right.
and I was like, holy cow, that's a good cantaloupe.
So this is another, I go overboard on everything that I do, right? So when I decided, hey, I want to grow some cantaloupes, right? I don't put, 3 vines in the garden, see if I can get a good cantaloupe. I put in 40 vines and take care of them.
Is that right next to the headless body bar?
Oh, no,
body farm?
gosh. No, different areas.
Different areas, okay.
But something about exactly where I grow things is just the perfect scenario. The perfect scenario of light. Now I've got unlimited fertilizer from chickens, from the cattle,
Right.
And when I till all this into the soil in the beginning of the year, that along with the amount of sun and where it comes from, I don't know. I'd find it hard to believe someone could grow cantaloupes better than I do.
It was one of the best ones I've ever had. Because sometimes people when they drop off fruits or vegetables that are grown in their garden, they're like, yeah, they're okay. But that cantaloupe was like amazing.
Well, on the cantaloupe side or any melons, when you get one at the grocery store, that thing had to get from somewhere a long way off. And in order to do that, it was picked before it should have been picked.
Right.
I've never picked a cantaloupe. I know they're ready when I go out in the morning or late in the evening and they're laying on the ground. They've fallen off the vine.
Oh, is that how? That's how you know?
They're ripe. They're
and
ready
then
to
you
eat.
can eat it that day or the next day, and it's perfect. Yeah.
That sounds delicious. I like them. Well, Trey, thank you so much for joining us today. I think that what you have done in this community, you just kind of have the epitome of a servant heart. And to kind of go back what we were talking about before, I really think that you are living your life and you're honoring your pups. But we are very lucky to have you as a citizen here at Dripping Springs.
I'm glad that we got to sit down and visit with you for a while.
This was a blast.
Yeah, isn't it fun? So
it really is.
Yeah, ladies and gents, Trey Powers, thanks for listening. Ready to turn your land dreams into reality? Look no further than Capital Farm Credit.
Need a loan for your perfect piece of land? Capital Farm Credit is there for you.
Their dedicated team will tailor a loan to fit your unique needs because your dreams are their priority.
Capital Farm Credit, your land, your legacy. Visit capitalfarmcredit.com or Mark Rutledge at 512-892-4425.
Capital Farm Credit. Together, we're better.
Capital Farm Credit, an equal credit housing lender.
Nomic Power Solutions, keeping you powered up.
Get to know your local full-service Generac dealer.
Cody and Dylan with Nomic Power Solutions are a veteran-owned, Texas-based Generac dealer and installer.
Offering low monthly payment options, it's never been easier to gain independence from the grid.
Call or text 512-387-4232 or visit nomicpower.com. Follow on Instagram at Nomic Power for updates.
Turnkey service including design, plumbing, electrical, and permits.
They even offer set-it-and-forget-it maintenance plans. Nomic Power Solutions.
Protect your home. Protect your family. Stay ready. Elevate your living experience with M. Elliott Studio, your trusted partner in interior design, registered and licensed by the state of Texas.
You want your home to reflect your personal style and identity. Investing in a well-crafted design doesn't just beautify your home, it enriches your life.
Team principal and owner, Montana Elliott, understands the profound impact of a thoughtfully designed space. From remodeling to full design, M. Elliott Studio is the first step to unlocking your style.
Turn your aspirations into reality. Tailored to your taste and desires, M. Elliott Studio will work to create an environment that embraces your style with style.
Your space, their expertise.
MElliottStudio.com 512-781-0224.
This show has been brought to you in part by the real estate pros at the Mallet Integrity Team. When you're looking to buy or sell, you need them on your side. Why settle for less when you can have real estate done right? Give them a call at 512-829-2062 or get more info at malletintegrityteam.com.
You know you like us, so go now to Apple Podcast or Spotify and leave us a review. Why don't ya? We love your feedback and comments. Email us at malletandmichelle@gmail.com.
Thanks for putting up with us.